The study we were provided with was the work of Neil Adger and some of his colleagues. It was him who we conducted our interview with, and his study focused on the city of Chittagong in Bangladesh. Chittagong is one of the biggest cities in the country and is a popular destination for many of the country's internal migrants who are seeking opportunities and avoiding the natural hazards that are synonymous with Bangladesh. In the interview, there were comments about how previous research didn't take into account the full aspect of migrants' lives, which were impacted by climate change. This led to the project's researchers using a wider array of methods to gain a real understanding and conclusion to their study: human security of urban migrant populations affected by length of residence and environmental hazards. The conclusion was that there was a negative relationship between length of residence and perceived human security among migrants, and we're going to look at the number of research methods to show how these geographers did their research and how this led to a production of contemporary knowledge.
Photo voice is a type of qualitative data collected through photo elicitation techniques often used within research to gain in-depth personal and visual understandings, creating connections between the research participant and findings. In his research, Neil Adger used this method working with 7 city planners and 10 migrants to gain understandings of their living conditions and perceived human security. Participants took photos of their local environment, presenting their experiences. The photos were studied and used within interviews, sparking conversations over why they were included and their significance in relation to perceived insecurity. City planners were included in the study to gauge a variety of experiences, accounting for representation and allowing for comparison between the effects of hazards on different types of people. Photo voice can help gain an understanding of contemporary geographical knowledges through the subjective in-depth data it creates by considering the setting, social domain and meanings, creating a holistic understanding of geographical issues. Its benefits are especially evident when compared to quantitative methods, which tend to be one-dimensional, not creating a complete picture of experience. People can also be directly shown the experiences of others, giving voices to those often excluded from research, creating more empathetic responses, potentially encouraging social change through the use of policy. This ethnographic understanding focuses on direct experiences of how individuals internalise and perceive situations, helping in the production of geographical knowledges. The method of research can be used in all kinds of contexts to enhance findings, for example, when studying the environment and impacts of climate change, living conditions and impacts of urbanisation and migration, and impacts of assimilation and multiculturalism, offering in-depth personal understandings.
Okay, so sampling is defined by Merriam-Webster's dictionary as the act, process, or technique of selecting a representative part of a population. Emerson says that the more participants in a study, the more protected the results of the study are from the influences of random error from which a researcher cannot control. And in the case of Adger's study, he used a sample size of 444 from 4 out of the 20 slums in the area of Chittagong, whilst also mixing a combination of migrants and city planners. The study focused on Chittagong, but it itself is acting as a sample, representing urban migrant populations across the globe. Sampling is a way for researchers to control random error and control reliability. They carefully select their groups so that they can limit the impacts of factors that aren't related to the study, which is their way of making it reliable. Using too many participants in a study is expensive and exposes a greater number of subjects to procedure. But if it's underpowered, it will statistically be inconclusive and may make the whole protocol a failure. And so it's about striking a balance. A good example is vital as it improves the generalizability of research findings. By ensuring that the sample is representative of the population, researchers can generalize their results to broader contexts or populations with greater confidence. This increases the relevance and applicability of the research findings beyond the specific sample studied.
Surveys and questionnaires are also very useful for researchers gathering information. Questionnaires offer a convenient method for collecting information from a broad range of individuals over a specified time frame. Therefore, crafting the questionnaire is critical to guarantee the collection of precise data, ensuring that the findings can be understood and applied broadly. A poorly designed questionnaire can muddy the waters, making the results difficult to interpret, or even worse, leading to incorrect conclusions. Surveys can take various formats, such as postal, telephone, face-to-face, and internet surveys, each requiring a tailored design approach. Alongside photo voice techniques, Neil and his team use surveys to collect data. The team's dataset comprises 447 valid responses obtained from a cross-sectional survey conducted among migrants in Chittagong over a span of 2 months in 2018. The survey included questions on indicators of human security, self-reported mental health, and perceptions of environmental, socio-economic, and political issues faced by migrant populations in Chattogram. In 2013, Kurz and Higginbottom cited Fetterman when they wrote ethnographer's most important data gathering technique when referring to surveys. Through semi-structured individual or focus group interviews, the researcher can chart participants' responses, which are crucial for the subsequent analysis.
This research project involved using both quantitative and qualitative methods of research. This can be seen as triangulation, as mixed methods of a combination of these qualitative and quantitative methods has been used. The following methods in the study show the research methods used to generate the data. A survey asked questions on the indicators of human security and self-reported mental health, as well as other factors. In-depth interviews were conducted with 10 migrants and 7 city planners, gaining an in-depth visual ethnographic empirical process, and mathematical calculations were also used. Using these mixed methods means that the qualitative data provides reasons for the quantitative data. This is a huge strength of using mixed methods of research, as it not only provides an insight into multiple dimensions of insecurity in the lives of the people, but it makes up for some of the other research methods' inadequacies. For example, the quantitative data gives unbiased, reliable and factual data, but misses out the insight into people's thoughts, feelings and behaviours which qualitative data gives.
Funding is vital to the production of contemporary geographical knowledge, as it facilitates the data collection for many research projects. Neil's team received £300,000 for the 2-year project, which allowed them to employ 3 postdoctoral researchers, 2 in Bangladesh and 1 in Exeter, and half a day's work a week for Neil and Ricardo. This funding allowed the researchers in Bangladesh to sample, collect the data needed for the academics in Exeter to analyse and write up. Yet, funding of these projects can create their issues. These days, there is a greater emphasis on targeted funding, which means that councils only fund the projects that reflect their priorities and align with their academic goals, creating a degree of bias when it comes to which projects are funded and which are not. There is also the issue of time constraints, as many projects only last as long as their funding contracts. This is often 2 to 3 years long, creating pressure for research teams to quickly collect their data and output this. This pressure and selectivity reduces the quality of contemporary knowledge produced. This study has been able to create contemporary knowledges that have helped the city planners in Chittagong. Neil described how the city planners got excited as they had never done anything like it before, and how they were able to make a difference in their strategies for city planning. Now after the study, they can use similar strategies that Neil's team did to decide what to do with certain areas of the city and how their decisions are going to impact certain communities, especially the migrant communities. This shows that the study and its findings have created long-lasting impact and a legacy within Chittagong,